Let's take a rental property bringing in £1,300 per month. On paper, that looks like strong income, but once you include the real cost of owning the property, the number you actually keep can be very different. In this video, I'm going to break down the real costs of owning a rental property in the UK using a simple example, so you can see what actually affects your returns over time. Most people start by looking at the rent. In this example, £1,300 per month gives an annual income of £15,600. That sounds like a strong starting point, but this is the revenue, not the profit. And the difference between those two numbers is where most of the misunderstanding comes from. The largest cost for most landlords is the mortgage. If the mortgage is £800 per month, that's £9,600 per year. Straight away, the £15,600 rent reduces significantly. This is the first layer, and it's usually the one people focus on, but it's far from the full picture. Maintenance is often underestimated because it doesn't appear evenly. Some months there are no costs, and then suddenly there's a huge bill. Over time, a reasonable average might be £100 to £150 per month. This includes general repairs, wear and tear, and occasional replacements. This reduces annual profit by £1,200 to £1,800 a year. And importantly, this is unavoidable over the long term. Then there are ongoing fixed costs like landlord's insurance. These may seem small individually, but they are consistent. When added together over a year, they become part of your baseline costs. There are the quieter costs, but they still reduce your real return. One of the most important costs is also one of the least visible: void periods. If the property is empty for 1 month, you lose over 8% of your annual rent, but the mortgage will still need to be paid. This means the financial impact is greater than just lost rent. Over time, this is a key factor in real performance. If you use a letting agent, there are additional costs. These might be a percentage of rent or a fixed fee. Some landlords choose to self-manage, but that involves time and responsibility. Either way, there is a cost, financial or personal, and it needs to be factored in realistically. Once you include the mortgage, the maintenance, the insurance, and the voids, the original £1,300 per month will look very different. What remains might be closer to £250 to £400 per month. That's the real working number. And it's the number that determines how the property feels to own. Not all costs are predictable. Boilers fail, roofs need repair, and tenants sometimes leave properties in a poor condition. These costs don't happen every year, but they do happen over time. And when they do, they can significantly affect your returns in that period. This is why planning for them matters. Now consider what happens if conditions change. If interest rates rise, your mortgage costs increases. If you have a longer void period, incomes drop further. A property with strong margins can absorb this. a tighter deal may start to feel very uncomfortable. Over 10 years, these costs accumulate. Maintenance, voids, and unexpected repairs all add up. A property that looks strong in year 1 may feel very different by year 5. This is why long-term thinking is essential. Tax is the final layer. The profit you can calculate before tax is not what you keep. Depending on your situation, the net income may be reduced further. This reinforces the importance of realistic calculations from the start. The most common mistake is focusing only on rent and mortgage. But as we've seen, that's only the first layer. Ignoring the other cost creates an overly optimistic picture, and that leads to poor decisions. A better approach is to ask, what is the real monthly surplus? Does it still work if something changes? And does it feel comfortable and not stretched? These questions give a more realistic view of the deal. The key point is simple. Rent is revenue, profit is what's left after all the costs. And those costs are what define the real performance of a rental property. Understanding the real cost of owning a rental property makes your decisions more realistic and more sustainable over time. This is the Practical Landlord.